This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the Fishing Crew.
What is going on in Vikings country, buddy?
Well, here, watch this.
There's some turmoil there.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm pretty good at that. No, I'm sorry I'm laughing. I thought, you know, what are the chances we start this thing and I get caught picking my nose? Like, oh, no. So here's my deal. In my ice house, everything is Green Bay Packers. I hate the Green Bay Packers. I'm a Viking fan. But my whole thing is I'm fishing on Sunday and I'm doing the Murphy's Law thing. I got all the Packers all over my ice house, so the Vikings will win every Sunday.
Maybe we need to switch that up.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of excited for this year's football season. I'm excited for the guests tonight, too. I want to get right to them because I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. And Perfect. This is really a lot of fun. I love getting some of these new guys to me on the show, and I love talking about other things rather than the same old thing. We're going to talk fishing, which I guess is the same old thing, but what we're talking Casino Cup. So bring them in. Let's introduce them and let's talk.
How are we doing tonight? We got Sheldon and Hunter. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hello there.
How you doing tonight, bud?
Fantastic. Sheldon, good to meet you. Hunter, good to meet you. I got to admit, Hunter, you look a little bit younger than Sheldon there. So I don't even think you're old enough to buy beer, are you?
No, I'm 18 years old.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with being 19, and especially in the fishing world. And coming out team of the year, I think congratulations are in order to all three of you. Bob Crow, of course, part of the crew there. You guys had a fantastic year, and the picture shows it. I mean, you know, pictures don't lie. It looks like you guys were pretty darn happy, and it looks like a ton of fun too.
Yeah, it was a good deal, good accomplishment. We had a great year. I mean, it was exciting. It was down to the last wire, to the last day, you know. So we were fortunate enough to pull it off, and you know, it was an exciting day.
So, can I ask how you did it that day? Were you trolling or were you using forward-facing sonar?
You know, we were pulling chubs. We the tournament before the last one, we were pitching plastics up in the weeds. We didn't get that bite on Shell Village like everybody else did. So we were doing plastics. Bob loves it. Hunter is learning from Bob. And, you know, I'm trying to do my best at them myself. But we did our own thing. We didn't see a boat that whole day, the last tournament. And we ended up 17th. We went from first place to second place with we had to beat them by 10 spots. So we were behind a ways and we needed a little help. And, you know, we thought we're going to go out the last day and we're going to grind this thing out and we're going to do the best we can. And we started with every other boat on Shell Village there in Skakawea. You know, we did our thing, and we didn't have a limit at noon, so we had to run to a different spot. Got our limit, went back, and just we ran and gun. But we were pulling chubs. I was throwing lead. I couldn't catch a fish, so basically it was a chub show for us.
Well, I tell you, Shell holds some pretty nice fish. I screwed up and got in the back of the boat, had a big walleye on, got it up close. It went back toward the motor, and there was nothing I could do. It was rip and drag, and it brushed the prop and gone. And it was disappointing, but that lake is an awesome lake. It is something. When I was a kid, I grew up in North Dakota, so we fished Van Hook Arm and Sakakawea quite a bit. And to me, when I was a kid, it was such a big lake. I swear you couldn't see from shore to shore. It was like being on an ocean when I was a kid. And then I went over there as an adult and thought, well, it's big, but not as big as the ocean.
Yeah. No, it's a good body of water. I tell you what, you can catch fish any way you want. That's what's nice. I mean, from 3 feet to 60 feet, you can catch fish, and that's the way it's been all summer, you know. But we had to try and target some bigger fish, and we threw the dice and went to Shell with everyone else. And you know what it is when you're fishing against everybody. You got to beat the guy right next to you. I mean, we watched 2 for sure 30-plus pound baskets right beside us. Guys were netting fish all day, and that gets hard when we're trying to do our best to win Team of the Year, and you're watching other people catch fish and you're not. So, no, we grounded out and worked hard, and we were very fortunate.
But wasn't just that tournament. So in the Casino Cup, explain to the people what don't know about the Casino Cup, kind of what that is, and the locations and how that works.
We had our first tournament. We started out in Mobridge, South Dakota. So I think we had 80-some plus teams. We went to Devil's Lake for a tournament, and then we had 2 tournaments up in Newtown. So our best finish was the top 10. I think we had a 12th, a 13th, and a 17th. So we stayed consistent, cash a check in each tournament, stayed right in there, but it's all a point system. First place gets 300, and it drops 3 points from that all the way down. So the more teams in the tournament, the more points you can get, and vice versa, So we stayed consistent, worked hard, and had some good programs, and, it all worked out for the good.
So yeah. you mentioned 30-pound bags. The elephant in the room is the 30-pound bags they caught on Devil's Lake today in the NWT. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, but the fish were biting, but they said that the temperature on the lake dropped 13 degrees today.
Yep, it was cold this morning up here when we woke up, and I could about imagine up there.
Yeah, isn't that something? I wouldn't have expected it to drop. I didn't realize it got that cold, but even in Brookings, it said 54, and it felt like 44 or almost even 34. It was just really chilly. I walked into the house, and I thought the house was hot. It was 71 degrees in here. Yep. So there's a hint of fall in the air. There is no doubt about it. But so talk about your year a little bit. Just kind of give us a quick overview of how that went and how you got to be Team of the Year.
We stayed consistent. Like I said, first tournament was in Mobridge. We were trolling in Mobridge, so we made a big run up to Pollock, caught some fish there, and then worked our way back down. It was a rough day. We had a rough day, and all these casino tournaments are one-day shootout. So we fished Saturday. There's usually 3 to 4 flights, but it's a one-day shootout. So we knew we had to catch some decent fish. We got a limit there. We got lucky, caught a couple good ones. Like I said, we moved around there. Pretty much every tournament we fished this year, Hunter, I think we had to move around. We didn't catch all our fish in one spot.
We never caught all our fish in one spot. We'd usually start in a spot and catch a couple and then bounce around and move around and end up filling the basket.
Yeah. No, but like I said, Mobridge we trolled. Devil's Lake.
We casted. We started casting. Out east, we only had one fish at like 12:30, and we pull up on a hump that I pre-fished on, and they were going.
Mind you, we started on the East Devil's Lake and ended up by Minnewacan in Devil's Lake.
Oh yeah, so you covered the entire thing.
And it was probably blowing like 30.
It was 30. There were 4 to 5s. When we came in, you know how that lake gets. It was big water. Mobridge was big water too. So we were lucky. The third tournament, caught our fish throwing paddle tails up into shallow water. Bob and Hunter did a great job there. I mean, those guys are wizards with them. It's really fun to watch these guys throw them plastics. Other than that, then we fell behind. So leaving on the last tournament in Newtown, we were left in second place. So I took a picture. Said, "Hey, we're in second place. There's a boat leaving us ahead of us." I said, "We got to make this work," and it worked out.
So, awesome. Hunter, how did you become so good at the age of 19 that you could become a tournament fisherman and part of the Team of the Year? That's what I want to know.
So basically, all started at a young age. My dad fished tournaments and stuff, and I was fishing since I could walk, just going with and things. And then when I was around 8 years old or so, he lost his job at Bobcat in town here, so we had to sell the boat. So we didn't have a boat for like 2 or 3 years, and then we bought an old Yarcraft side console, and he basically told me, "I'll be fishing with you, but you're doing everything. You're driving the boat, you're running the trolling motor." And it all started there. And then a couple of years after that, we got another Yarcraft, a newer one, and that was the year of COVID. So we didn't have school in the spring, So every day before work, me and my buddy Connor, my dad would dump us in, and he'd drop the trailer off at his buddy's house that lived by the boat ramp and go to work. And we'd go fish all day, and then when he was done with work, he'd come pick us up and we'd go home. And that was, I think that spring we missed from ice open to about middle of May, we missed 2 days of fishing.
Wow. That's an awesome story. So did you start with a Zebco? That's what I want to know.
No, when I started with him, we pulled a lot of cranks.
Okay.
On board, shallow, just on the river, and pulled bait at the lake. But all this jig wrapping and swim baits and stuff like that's new stuff when I started fishing with them.
Yeah.
So
So
you-
you being as young as you are, you started out pulling cranks with flicker shads, and well, I know I started pulling cranks or pulling with lazy Ikes behind planer boards.
So you work at River City, the Vexus dealer up there in North Dakota, and then Sheldon and Bob picked you up. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're 18, right? Not 19.
Yeah,
you're still in high school. And so
So-
if you tell that story, how that came about.
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a good buddy from school, which Dylan Kostelecki, and his dad's Derek. He's a fishing manager at Shields here in Bismarck. So I was fishing with Dylan and stuff, and Sheldon kind of asked, like, who the hell is this kid? And then ever since there, it kind of just took off. I started fishing with him. Then next thing you know, it was, oh, you want to fish some tournaments with us? And obvious 8 or 16-year-old kid that loves fishing is going to say yes. So I went with that. And then last year we did the casinos. It wasn't a great year. And then this year we fished together, and it ended up how we wanted it to.
So I'm guessing last year you had to do whatever Sheldon and Bob told you, and this year it turned into, hey, Hunter, what do you think we should do? Yep.
Say that. We just do what Bob wants to do.
Yeah.
And
What's
Sheldon,
Bob doing tonight that he couldn't join us?
Yeah, he's guiding out there. He's got a lot of guide trips going before he comes back out for the fall tournament up in Williston. So he's grinding away up there, and he's a little behind. They're different time zone there, so he wanted to join us, but there wasn't a way he could make it.
Well, we'll have to get him on sometime and chat. I'm sure he's got stories upon stories. I kind of like some of these guides to come on the show and start telling stories of clients.
Oh yeah, real stories about that. So, but yeah, no, I've been fishing with Bobby, since the PWT days. I mean, I think it's been 25 years for sure. Back in the day, he came out here from Washington State. His first tournament was Lake of the Woods. Never been out here before, and showed up in his big Dodge truck in a Lund boat, and didn't know anybody, didn't know what was going on. Came out, and he's one of the best fishermen I know. I tell you what, he's a hard worker. He doesn't have a no, and then there's nothing he can't do and won't do. He's a grinder. I tell you what, man. I've learned a lot from him, and so has Hunter.
He told me his first tournament, he had no clue who anyone was, nothing. And everyone was wondering, like, who the hell is this guy? And then he goes home with a second place.
You get recognized pretty quick when you do that.
Yeah, he's kind of like the cowboy in the Continental suit.
Yep.
That's exactly. Remind me a lot of those South Dakota guys that show up and just do their thing. And Bob does the same thing. Doesn't mess around. Comes to work, works his butt off, and goes home and doesn't say a word. Pretty modest man.
So what's the plan for 2024 then?
I think we're gonna do the NWTs. Bob and I were talking about that, and the schedule looks pretty good. We're gonna try and get Hunter to for sure do the Lakes Kakawea tournament. We're gonna get him signed up, and then see if we can get him to do some of the stuff on the coast side on the other lake at Erie or Red Wing and stuff like that. So see what happens. He's looking forward to trying to fish one of these on his own.
That's a great idea. I love that whole thing. I talked to like Sean Graham and Tanner Thompson Mode and some of those that have decided to fish the and learn and pick up all that knowledge and then bring it to the NWT on the pro side. I think that's a pretty smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I did. When I started, I was amateur in the PWT, and I got to ride with some really good sticks, the Roaches, and I tell you, Parsons and Gary Gray and Pete Harshes, all that crew. I mean, I was very fortunate enough to come up with those guys. And I was a young kid, you know, and I learned a lot of things from them.
Yeah, I
like
think it's
before we jumped on, Sheldon, you go back to that as a young kid. Like you said before we started, you got to bring these kids up some way, shape, or form, and can't afford $120,000 boat and an $80,000 pickup and an entry fee on top of it to get in these tournaments. So it's great to see what you're doing. It's great to see that Hunter is going to go fish some coast stuff and possibly jump in on the pro side in Chicagoia. That's awesome. It's going to build the future of our support. I wish there was 100 more hunters out there right now that were doing this, and dads, and we have them in the Gov Cup, we have them in our events, but it's to take a kid under your wing that you didn't know a couple of years ago and take him out and mentor him out there and teach him these things. And now he's showing you things. You told me before we jumped on that you go into pre-fish, you fish for a few days, you leave, Hunter and Bob stays, and you come back, and you guys spend a lot of time on the water, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's the key. I think that's a lot, you know, to our success. You know, like I said, I got Fridays off, so and Hunter can get off. So we leave on a Thursday night or Friday morning. I fish till Sunday afternoon, evening. Bob usually shows up Sunday night, and then him and Hunter fish till Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm back up there Tuesday night, and then we fish through Friday, and then we get the tournament. So the more time on the water is what really helps us, you know. And you know, you got to be able to eliminate water to find fish, and just things you got to do to be part of it to be successful. And that's the biggest part, you know, how I think we're so successful this year.
I think another thing that helped is the more time we were there is we could watch and pattern those fish, like see if they're slipping out of that shallow water into the deep. We have more than 3 days to watch where they're going to go or watch where they're going is what I think helped a lot, is mostly the more days that we were up there.
So are you using the forward-facing sonar in practice to find the fish, or are you just sticking with side imaging and down imaging and finding fish that way?
You know, Hunter, we didn't use our forward-facing imaging much this year.
Bob has never owned a forward-facing sonar. He's gonna eventually, but from now up to now, he's never had one. So he still sticks to just straight side imaging, down imaging, and 2D.
Yep, he'll be up in the front running the trolling motor. I'll put the pole down and I'll set everything up, and Hunter and I'll watch in the back, or Hunter will watch and set it all up so Bob can see what's going on. But yeah, he just grinds. You guys understand how those guys are. They know what's going on. This is what it should be, and he goes with it, you know. So we just I would use it all, but we didn't use that. I mean, I don't think we had great success due to the forward-facing sonar, you know.
Yeah, you know, I feel that's the same way. And I'm just a regular average Joe fisherman, but I've used it the last 2 winters on the ice, and I'm doing some experimenting, and I'm finding out that maybe it's not one of the pieces of equipment you want to turn on and keep on the entire time. It's got its place. I think we had talked beforehand about 360. I've used that for a long time. I'm going to go back to my Humminbird and plop that little ice deucer in the hole, and I'm going to fiddle around there, and I'm going to hope to catch more fish, because I think I'm scaring fish away. But you got to have that technology. I think, you know, for me, not that it matters to anybody else, but it's a tool. It really helps you learn to understand how fish move, how they react, how they feed, etc. And I think that's important, you know, even for guys like Bob, who I'm sure can dissect and you know, get rid of that 90% of the lake just by looking at inside turns and points and different things without even needing to really even look at a map. But it really grows and helps kind of fill in the piece of the puzzle when you're fishing, and especially in a tournament where you know, it comes down to, you got to catch fish.
Yeah, you got to be able to catch fish. That's for sure. You know, and one thing about it is that if you don't have the confidence in it, you're not going to use it. And you know, hats off to these guys that have confidence and know how to use them. I mean, I guarantee those top 10 guys or whatever up in Devil's Lake right now, they're using it and they're successful with it.
Oh, no doubt. Well, that evidenced by, I think, what do we have, 7 or 8, Kurt, guys that had 30-pound bags today?
Yeah.
After a massive cold front.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And Matt Cheevelbein was in at 8:55 this morning with 32 pounds of fish. Like, something happened. Yeah. He landed on them.
Yeah.
You know?
we've never been that lucky to land on him like that. So hats off to him. So it sounded like that never happened to him either. So good
Yeah, he
for
said
him.
that was his first 30-pound bag in the NWT, which was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
think it's fantastic.
You
And
watched the
that's
interview, he was literally shaking.
Yeah,
oh yeah, how can you can't blame the guy. I would
Yeah.
be shaking. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight to be truthful. You know,
Yeah.
I just and it'll be interesting to find out. I suppose we won't find out till the end if he caught him on the Golden Highway or if he just tucked up in 6 Mile Bay or went around Graham's by Zebach Pass, or if he ended up, whittling his way up to Pelican. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to find out where some of these guys caught their fish.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, there'll be a lot of good information coming out on Friday when after the top 10 and they start doing some interviews. And it's one thing. I mean, us being from North Dakota, we get to fish that lake, but you get these guys coming from a different state and different bodies of water and use their techniques, and you can find those fish on this body of water too. I mean, it's something new. Maybe they're doing something different than we are. So that's one great thing about the tournament circuit is you learn, you get educated, and you learn more things. So
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff to be learned there. When I was a kid, Devil's Lake was a tenth of the size. That was back in the 70s and 80s. Devil's Lake was big, but it
Yeah.
wasn't this massive body of water that it is now. And Minnewacan was just a town out by itself. And now is Minnewacan even a town? Is all water now, isn't it?
it's
You
still
know,
there, close, but it's smaller.
I guess we'll find out Friday because we are going to put the boat in the water on Thursday night and we'll fish Friday. And I'm just kind of curious to tool around the lake a little bit and see where some of these guys are sitting and see where they're positioned and how they're doing it. And hopefully we'll catch a fish or two as well. But that NWT, a little bit of controversy there. I'm going to bring it up because it was all over Facebook, and I would guess maybe Instagram and the other socials as well. But a fair amount of conversation about Sault Ste. Marie and maybe breaking a rule by accident or something. I don't know. The truth is going to come out though.
Yeah, and it's bad to see that. I mean, I wish stuff like that wouldn't happen because it only gives the sport a black eye itself. People are out there working by all the rules, doing everything. They study, they know what's going on, yeah, the accidents happen and stuff like that. It does, but I mean, you just got to fess up, or you got to just take accountability for yourself, hold yourself accountable. And, sometimes you just got to worry about what your sponsors think and what other people think, and do the right thing. So you got to remember, you're out there, and it's not just you, you're promoting your sponsors and people that believe in you, and you just don't want to lose that trust from them.
Well, and it's the fans too. When I heard some of the details, tournament director Jeff Kelm did a recorded press conference, I guess you'd call it, and read the statement, and there were no questions. He just said, "That's the statement. That's where it stands. Sault Ste. Marie is done. It's over. It's closed. We move on." And I get that. That's fine. But, some are saying maybe the feds are going to get into it. It could get really interesting. We're just going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. Because at this point, there's no reason for opinions. There's no reason for any speculation because the truth will come out. I guess there's plenty of evidence and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, we'll just wait and can't judge and, just wait for the outcome and see what happens. And hopefully they handle everything correctly. And, it's just, like I said, there's a lot of anglers that worked all year to get to that championship. And if they didn't get to go because of a mishap like that, that would be really disappointing. That'd be hard.
And
Yeah.
you got that, like you said, it's integrity. We got to keep the integrity of the tournament fishing community together, because you look what happened last year in Ohio. We've had some black eyes in the last year on the walleye fishing world that have made some national coverage. I mean, the whole Ohio thing was on every news station in the world. Half the people didn't know what walleye fishing was, didn't even know they existed, and they do now. And this to come out, and hopefully they handle it right and everything goes. I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen or what they're going to do or what, but you hope they handle it right. You hope that the outcome comes for the best. because it's a tournament sport. I mean, it's bringing Hunter up. You said it best, Sheldon. It's not about you. It's you, but your sponsors, the tournament, the people who look up to you, the kids, all that stuff comes into effect when you sign up for that tournament. And when you sign your name on that dotted line that says I'm in, that there's a lot more to it than just Sheldon and Hunter out there. You know, people are looking up. I mean, we're sitting here talking tonight because your guys is here, you know, your year. Now, if we're sitting here talking about the controversy you had throughout the year, that's not good for the image of the sports image. And we don't want that for anybody. And I hope they handle it properly. And we'll see over the next few weeks where it's going to go. But I know there's some very heated people out there and some very passionate people. Like you said, it'd suck if you were the guy sitting in 42nd, 43rd place, you know, and didn't get the championship because of this, you know, or team or angler of the year, you know, for that matter. I mean, that it could throw angler of the year points all off. And they've had a few deals over the whole season that have been some issues. And there's guys that aren't happy, and rightfully so.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, if you're the guy could have won the tournament, you couldn't. Angler of the year. I mean, there's a lot of variables that, you know, that could go wrong, and it's somebody's feelings are going to be hurt, and there'll be consequences. And you know, like I said, just as long as they handle it correctly and communicate to the fishing world and keep everybody, you know, educated in what's going on, I think it should turn out all right.
Yeah, you know, I think so too. I'm very excited. Dusty Minky sitting in second place, so I'm rooting for him to win the thing. I'm just going there right now. He's a cool guy. I love him. I hope this is his tournament. But then you got Angler of the Year. That is up for grabs. I kind of in my mind thought, well, it's either going to be Hoyer or Dewey. But with those big heavy bags that came in, it's going to be interesting to see who is fishing that top 10 on Friday.
Absolutely. You know, things can change. I've seen it where it flip-flops, you know. You get a 30-pound bag and do a 12-pound bag, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're a fisher here today, gone tomorrow. And Devil's Lake is a tough fishery, and man, those fish do what they want. So, and weather is a big factor, too. There.
Oh.
Lost them for a second, but they're back. Are you there?
Out there. You there, guys?
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys, we talked about a few times, we kind of hit on it, but you guys travel around, do this. You couldn't do it without, you can look at the boat behind you and all the sponsors. And Sheldon, you know, you've been a guy that I've known for quite a long time, and you do represent your sponsors well, because it shows. Every time I see your boat, you have a new sticker on it. So you want to go into a little bit about that?
It's exciting. I mean, you know, we work together well, Bob and I do. I mean, I've learned a lot from Bob fishing, you know, and I know stuff around here, and Bob knows stuff there, so I've learned from him, and I get to take care of the marketing stuff. And I've been fortunate to have sponsors, long-term sponsors. I mean, I've had Cloverdale, it's over 20 years. I mean, they're on the boat, and they have new products. They're always coming up with something new, tangy snackers, and the fishermen love it when I show up with a big box, and we're handing tangy out in the morning, and, you know, doing that. Picked up some new sponsors, Farstead. As you can see all over, you know, we've been with Vexus since day one of the fiberglass boat coming out. Love that. Mercury Motors, we've been there with them, but River City takes care of us, and got to give them a big shout out for letting Hunter come to every tournament. It's nice when Gary says, "Yep, you can take that whole week off and make this all."
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and you were telling me earlier, so you handle the marketing, but you said something to me a little bit before we started. Hunter, you have some news that just came along the sponsor way in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I got with HDS Rods here in Bismarck. It's Darren Schneider, one of our good buddies. He builds custom rods and straight spinning, trolling, bait rods, anything you're looking for.
Signed your first sponsor at 18 years old. That's pretty awesome, man.
That's cool. Congratulations.
That's an awesome thing to do. And it's a web you weave, and you got to be very cautious on how you do it. And like we said earlier, it's your name is just not your name. It's now you're tying to your sponsors. And Sheldon's done a very, very good job of promoting his sponsors, and, you know, Shields, and, you know, all the different ones he's been with over the years. Take a note out of his book, because he's done very well with it. And Proud to hear that you signed your first one. That's a big accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is awesome. Congratulations. Well, I'm excited. I see we're at 30 minutes. We might as well wrap it up right there.
We will have to get back with these guys this winter when Sheldon's out in that snow bear in Winnipeg smashing some big walleyes. We have to go live from the ice in Winnipeg this winter.
Oh, I am,
Yep, we can do that. I'd enjoy that for sure. We'll be going to Devil's Lake too. We'll be going to South Dakota. We got some trips planned, so hopefully we can get hooked up with you guys and do some video again. Maybe catch one of the big walleyes out of Winnipeg, like you said.
I hope I'm at Winnipeg when you're at Winnipeg, because I'm going at least twice this year. I've canceled too many trips, so hope to see you up there.
I called and booked. I got every room in. What is it? January, March. Every weekend in March, I got 2 rooms reserved.
Perfect. All right. Hey, you guys, great to have you here. Thank you. Congratulations again. Big win, and awesome to see you guys team of the year in the Casino Cup. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Congratulations, guys. Look forward to seeing where the future goes for you. We'll talk to you guys later.
Take
awesome.
care.
Oh, yeah, that is.